Firstly, we got our first look at Buzzcut Timmy.
Yes.
Like that.
Finally, it's explained why Timmy had this horrible haircut throughout award season, which, I'm not saying it was the only reason for his loss in Best Actor, but it certainly contributed.
Oh my God. Justin said too ugly for an award. Don't deserve the hardware.
Chalamet we all know he's an attractive man, okay? This is not controversial, but listen, as somebody who has recently gotten a buzz cut, there is an awkward middle stage of growing that out that is just tough. I would not have wanted to be on the red carpet during that phase of my buzz cut grow out process.
What about a wig? Wigathy Chalamet?
Lisan Gaib. Justin.
And it's almost hurtful to me to watch her be so dumb. Geoff.
And welcome to BANTS. Good morning, Geoff.
Lisan Gaib. The way that I was doing Javier Bardem's accent the 2 months after I watched Dune 2.
Yeah.
It's all that I was doing.
He was the standout character of that film for sure. He really brought the comedy in a way that I did not expect.
Didn't expect it, but was so glad it was there. Dune needed a tiny bit of levity that wasn't like Marvel throwaway one-liners,
Totally agree. And I think he kind of did that in Dune 1 too, and so did Jason Momoa a little bit in part 1. But in 2, I think, Javier Bardem really had to pick up the slack because Momoa obviously was not around for that one. And we will be talking about the trailer, the teaser for Dune Part 3 in today's episode. And our main topic today is the Harry Styles album, Kiss All the Time, Disco Occasionally. Can't wait to get into that.
Piss all the time?
Did I say that?
I thought you said piss all the time.
I'm pretty sure I said kiss all the time.
Okay.
But
I was like, that's going in the blooper reel.
We can roll it back if necessary. It's been so nice in DC. I feel like I've had a really wonderful weekend. It's the vernal equinox. Shout out Vern. It's his equinox, and it's warm in DC, and spent a lot of time outside. Thrifted this wonderful shirt.
Wait, you thrifted it yesterday?
That's right. Yeah.
You didn't wash that shit. You took it right off the rack and put it on.
I took it off. I bought it. I looked at it. I smelled it. It smelled neutral. I was like, this is good. This is solid. And I decided to wear it today for the pod because I think it's a good look.
It's a great look. I got to tell you, I really do love the rugby shirt, but you are Miss Nasty. You were Miss Nasty.
You've been throwing around Miss Nasty a lot recently.
Because you know what?
The nasty allegations are really flying left and right.
Everyone needs to do a little bit better, I think. Everyone's getting gross.
Except for you, of course.
Of course! Nothing wrong with me.
How's your weekend been, though?
Well, Justin, it was an interesting weekend.
Okay.
I did some chores for my mom yesterday because she's recovering from a rotator cuff surgery. So I went over her house and helped her do some laundry. We hung out.
Get well soon, Sue.
And then I went for a walk with my friend from college, Allie. We went back to our old campus and walked around and went through the Arboretum.
College.
It was
very nice.
Quite lovely.
I heard that was that this weekend that you went to Riccioni's, or at least my arch nemesis?
Yeah.
Okay.
That was a choice. I was cozy in my house. It was like 9:30. Anna, of course, at the last minute was like, want to come and do karaoke. And I was like, oh, maybe, like, we'll have to see. Let me know when you guys get out of your movie. And then she texted and was like, we're on the way to Riccioni's now. Do you guys want to come? And Hannah was like, I'm already in Groton, so I'll come. And I said, I guess I'll go. I took an Uber there. Firstly, that Uber, I was holding onto the Jesus handle above my head. This man had, I would say, no deference for traffic signals or other drivers on the road. Mm-hmm. He was zooming all over the place. Got on the on-ramp for the highway doing truly 65. I was like, we're on an on-ramp. I think I may die. I think we're going to go careening right over the edge because I did not have a great deal of confidence in his driving abilities or in his little Nissan Rogue to keep those tires cemented to the ground. It was tough.
I'm glad you're here with us today, Geoff.
Then we got to Riccioni's, and it was an interesting crowd. It was not the same as when we went. Last time we went, I was like, one of us is getting hate crimes.
I have never felt that unsafe in a bar.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was very MAGA the last time we were there. Turns out these two women bought the bar, decided to like revamp it and get rid of the riffraff. and they have like security bouncers at the front door now, and they just were not tolerating any nonsense, including indecisive drink orders.
And who was that?
It wasn't me, actually. It was people next to us.
Okay, I was gonna say
I was not drinking.
Was this another mojito situation?
Oh my god! Don't even. We can't go there.
I'm not bringing it up. I'm just saying
We can't.
that's what I was imagining.
No, it wasn't that. It was just an interesting vibe, though. There was like not riffraff, but like a lot of townies there, and like people we went to high school with. I was like, hello.
I just remember thinking, I didn't know it was for karaoke, but that makes sense. I'm like, otherwise, why would you go? But you guys are so desperate for karaoke that you would go into the depths of Riccioni's, sadly.
I'm dying for it. Dying for karaoke.
Well, Geoff, I'm dying to get into some hot topics. And let's just dive into the first one right now, because I think we're both pretty hyped for Dune Part 3. Which is, of course, the Denis Villeneuve-directed third installment in the Dune franchise.
It's a turd.
It's scheduled to come out December 18th. The teaser has dropped. Geoff, thoughts on this teaser?
My teaser has dropped, is dropping. No, wait, what was that joke?
It's my single is dropping, right?
Yes. So good. Firstly, we got our first look at Buzzcut Timmy.
Yes.
Like that.
It's explained why Timmy had this horrible haircut throughout award season, which, I'm not saying it was the only reason for his loss in Best Actor, but it certainly contributed.
Oh my God. Justin said, too ugly for an award. Don't deserve the hardware.
Chalamet we all know he's an attractive man, okay? This is not controversial, but listen, as somebody who has recently gotten a buzz cut, there is an awkward middle stage of growing that out that is just tough. I would not have wanted to be on the red carpet during that phase of my buzz cut grow out process.
What about a wig? Wigathy Chalamet? That could have been fun.
Was this just an excuse to pull out Wigathy Chalamet?
No, I just was thinking about a wig and then I said Wigathy Chalamet.
Now that is a drag name. That sounds like a drag name.
Wigathy Chalamet.
It's pretty good. You don't think so?
I don't know if that's good.
Not punny enough?
I'm not sure.
Okay.
Wait, what about Lisa Al Gaib? Come on, that's pretty good.
Okay, that one's better. Point for you, Geoff.
Love to get a point. Wait, firstly, we saw Momoa in the trailer.
That's right. Jason Momoa is back for Part 3. I know how this is the case because I've read Dune Messiah, but I won't spoil it for you. Interesting.
I've not read it.
They chose to put that in the trailer and not, keep it a surprise.
Well, because the girls want to see Jason Momoa again.
They do. Do you don't think Jason Momoa has fallen off a little bit just in terms of like popularity, cultural import?
Do I know this? Are you asking me?
I guess I can speak for myself.
Okay.
I feel like post Aquaman and since like the first Dune, especially, I feel like he's just not been as important in the culture as he was during that time. You don't think so?
Well, I don't disagree, I guess. I mean, he hasn't really done a ton of work.
His biggest role was probably in the Minecraft movie.
Minecraft movie?
Yes,
okay.
One of the biggest films of last year.
I think I did know this, actually. I think we talked about the Minecraft movie at one point.
Yes,
probably during our tirades about IP wars.
In that movie, in Minecraft, he was wearing a wig that he seemed to have donated to Anya Taylor-Joy in Dune 3 because she is wearing this crazy like mullet wig, which I gotta say, it kind of does look pretty good on her.
It looks good.
Yeah,
I like it.
It reminds me a lot of like Nat in Yellow Jackets, which 90s revivalism is so back, baby.
It's so back.
It's pretty cool. It's also cool to see her with dark hair, which I don't think we've seen a ton of that from Anya Taylor-Joy.
No, but you know what? It works on her. She has brown eyes and like platinum blonde hair, obviously dyed. And I don't really think that is the best look.
You think maybe she should go back to dark hair?
I think a more natural look on her would be really stunning. She's a very alien-esque sort of beauty,
Yeah, she has like this very supernatural vibe to her, which matches the role that she's playing here, which is playing Alia Atreides, Paul's sister, who, of course, was in utero when Rebecca Ferguson's character, Lady Jessica, went through this transformation into a Bene Gesserit mother superior. So she has some supernatural abilities, it seems, because if you remember in Dune Part 2, she spoke through time to Paul.
I do remember that.
So it's a great casting choice, I think.
I can't wait to see how they wrap this trilogy up, because from what I know, and I haven't read it, but what I know of Dune Messiah, very strange and unsatisfactory ending.
A whole concept, and this is not a spoiler, we know this from the first two Dune films, that the point of this franchise is to kind of undermine and subvert the traditional hero's narrative, right? Like maybe heroes' stories are kind of like a false flag that enable these horrible atrocities to occur in our culture. So what I will say is that the ending of Dune Messiah does play into that, right? It's a natural conclusion of that idea. And some may find that anticlimactic because we expect like a happy ending, a satisfying conclusion to a hero's tale. And Messiah does not provide that. But I think thematically it does make sense. So I think that Villeneuve, if anybody can do it, he can do it. I also want to talk about Robert Pattinson's appearance in this trailer, in this teaser.
Who? What? Where was Pattinson?
You're not familiar with our Pat? Oh, you didn't recognize him because he had the bleach blonde buzz cut and the
That
blonde
was him?
eyebrows. Yes, that was Robert Pattinson.
Oh my God. What a transformation.
I fucking love it. He's one of our weirdest guys, and that for that
So
reason,
weird.
he really fits in the Dune universe.
The Duneverse. The Gooniverse.
I expressed a little bit of wariness, of caution the other day when we talked about Dune 3 because of the kind of accelerated production timeline. It seemed like Villeneuve maybe wanted to take some time off after Dune 2 before he started filming Dune 3. And then when it was announced that he would be making the next Bond movie with MGM, he accelerated the Dune 3 process. And for that reason, I was like, I don't know, might be a little bit too fast. Like it could be too slapdash. I don't know. This trailer looks really good. Like visual effects wise, acting wise, production design wise. I don't know, man. This is one of my most anticipated movies of the year, and it's not really close.
Mine too. And I can't even believe how far away it is. Like we're not getting this shit until like the holidays.
And let's talk about that, because I think the timing both of this trailer release and of the release of the film is showing us that WB is very confident in this movie and they're positioning it as an awards movie. Timmy C on his Instagram posted the teaser poster of like his character Paul the day after he lost Best Actor.
Right.
And then the trailer dropped the following day, right after the Oscars. While we have these award ceremonies in our mind, they dropped the teaser trailer. And then, of course, we all know that like fall and winter now is like award season zone.
Of course.
That's the peak time Marty Supreme dropped on Christmas. Marty Supreme Christmas Day. So like this feels to me like they're trying to pull a Return of the King.
Marty Supreme Christmas Day.
We all know, Return of the King swept the Oscars the year that film came out. It was the third of a trilogy that the first two were, I would say, under awarded. And the third one was kind of like okay, now it's time to award all of these people that were a part of this film. It's her
year.
Exactly. And I think it might be Dune's year.
Yeah.
It remains to be seen the quality of the film, but
it's going to be good. Come on.
They have confidence in it, clearly. Like they are promoting this so far out. I was watching March Madness yesterday and they showed the teaser trailer like during the March Madness stuff. I'm like,
damn,
9 months from release.
You could have a baby by then.
Exactly. For real. So I'm excited for this. WB seems to be confident and we're so back. We're so back.
The movies are so back, Justin. You know what I love about Dune? They just do such a great job of like making that world feel big.
Mm-hmm.
I love all the really ultra wide shots, cinematography. It's delicious.
It really is so tasty. That shot of Zendaya in what I'm assuming, and this is not that I remember in Messiah, so it's a new thing for the film, but in this like wedding dress-esque fit with the wind blowing and like these white ribbons, like it's
oh, I didn't think that was her.
I thought it was Zendaya. Maybe it wasn't, but
I thought it was Rebecca Ferguson.
Oh, it could be Jessica, Lady Jessica as well.
Yeah.
What's up, y'all? On revisiting the Dune Part 3 trailer, I found that this person in this scene was neither Jessica nor Chani. It was actually Alia Atreides, played by Anya Taylor-Joy. So we're both wrong. Let's get back to the show.
Gorgeous.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shots of like this jihad that's happening in the background and these, people that seem to live on other planets and wear different styles of armor that are unlike the Arrakeen armor that they wear on Arrakis. Right. So it feels like they're adding a lot to the novel, which is actually pretty thin and doesn't have a lot of action here.
Right. I was gonna say it was very like focused on like character development and like their internal monologues.
A lot of internal monologue, a lot of palace intrigue, not a lot of action. So it was much more of like a political drama than
Which I do love.
a war drama, which I also love. I hope they keep that stuff. But yeah,
we need to have the action. I love an action movie. I just do.
I think that the difficulty that Villeneuve has here is basically turning this kind of like weird black sheep after an epic novel Messiah into the culmination of like an action blockbuster trilogy. Like, I don't know how he does that, but I have faith.
I think there's going to be a lot of original content added into this film.
Agree.
Because I just can't see how they could do like a shot for shot remake of Messiah and have it be a success.
There's a lot of weird shit in that book.
Really weird stuff.
They made a lot of the weird shit in Dune Part 2 work.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I think he's got it. I think Denis Villeneuve is Lisan Al-Gaib.
A little mouse hopping through the desert.
Yeah, that's him. That's Denis.
You're like a rat jumping around the corner looking for food. Very successful.
Well, Geoff, let's talk about another trailer that dropped since our last episode.
What was that?
Well, Geoff, this is the most viewed trailer ever in a 24-hour period. It got 718.6 million views in the first day of release.
Oh my God.
Yes,
I do remember this.
The trailer for the fourth Spider-Man film in the MCU Spider-Man series, Spider-Man: Brand New Day. Of course, this stars Tom Holland as the titular Spider-Man. Zendaya is back as his love interest, MJ. Geoff, have you seen this trailer?
You know, I watched a portion of it, but then I got distracted by having to do my job. And that's tough for me. And I did not remember to go back and finish watching it.
Hate when that happens.
So tell me all about it.
The job gets in the way of your joy.
I hate that too. And God doesn't get in the way.
Yeah, this is an interesting one. Spider-Man is in an interesting place, just like both creatively and in terms of like the legal restrictions and stuff around it, because Sony still owns the rights to the Spider-Man films. So,
still?
Yeah, they are still producing these films, but they have a partnership with Marvel, basically an agreement where Spider-Man can interact with the other MCU characters. So, you know, this has been the case since Spider-Man Homecoming, which is the one that had Michael Keaton as the Vulture.
Of course. And Garcelle Beauvais, put some respect on her name.
Yeah, and this is exactly why he was in Avengers Infinity War and Avengers Endgame. This is another one, and they seem to be pumping these Tom Holland Spider-Man films out because they just have not failed.
I love to pump it up.
Spider-Man No Way Home was the previous one that came out. It featured, Tobey Maguire Spider-Man and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man. That was one of the really big post-COVID movies.
Right.
Once theaters kind of opened back up for the general public.
Did you see it in theaters?
I believe I did. Did you?
I have not seen that one.
Really?
I've seen Homecoming. And then there was another one, I think.
Far From Home, which is
Far
the one
From Home.
Jake Gyllenhaal, yeah.
A lot of talk of Home. Don't know what that's about.
And they seem to be turning over a new leaf with this new trilogy. I think they're at least branding it as a potential new trilogy. Don't know what long-term that'll mean, but this one's called Brand New Day. So they are kind of moving away from that home-centric subtitle to a new type of subtitle.
I like the way that they are keeping things like kind of light and fun. A brand new day sounds like anything's possible, Justin.
Well, it's interesting you say that because this does seem like a bit of a darker turn for this Spider-Man. So, the first three films featured teenage Peter Parker, where he was in high school, right? This was actually a period that we had not seen on screen. So we had seen Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield Spider-Man in college.
Spider-Man.
Spider's-Man, is that what we would say? I don't know.
I think Spider-Man is right.
So we saw them in college. We had not seen Tom Holland Spider-Man in college. And this seems to be bringing him forward in time to that era where he's like in his early 20s.
College? Okay. I was going to say maybe a little old to be playing college.
Well, obviously, but he was old to be playing like a 16-year-old in high school as well in Homecoming.
I suppose that's true.
So, I mean, I feel like the age differential hasn't changed that much from Homecoming to Brand New Day. The director also changed. It's now being directed by Destin Daniel Cretton, who is taking over from John Watts. Daniel Destin Cretton is best known for directing Shang-Chi and The Legend of the Ten Rings, which was a previous Marvel film. So there is also a change in director. Spider-Man is bummed in this trailer. Peter Parker is bummed because at the end of No Way Home, everybody in the Marvel universe that knew who he was, knew his secret identity, has since forgotten about him. And that includes MJ, his love interest. That includes all the superheroes of the Marvel Cinematic Universe, including Dr. Bruce Banner, who is played by Mark Ruffalo and is featured in this teaser trailer. He seems to be one of Peter's college professors, which is like an interesting crossover there.
Did he have to go back in some alternate universe to get back home? Is that what happened in that film?
No, basically, I don't even want to get into the lore, but basically there was a Doctor Strange crossover. So Doctor Strange was heavily featured in No Way Home.
Yeah. His circular little portals.
And he basically cast a spell so that everybody who knew that Peter Parker was Spider-Man forgot about Peter Parker. But they remember Spider-Man. So Spider-Man is still a character.
What about his aunt?
Well, Geoff, I hate to be the one to break it to you, but Aunt May died in Spider-Man No Way Home.
Oh, no.
Yeah, so he's not having a good time. His aunt's dead. He's lost all of his friends.
Poor Marissa Tomei.
They do seem to be bringing the scope down a little bit to a more personal story here, where Spidey / Peter Parker is having kind of an existential crisis. He seems to be developing some natural spider-like abilities where he doesn't need web shooters. He's like producing web somehow without them. Similar to the Tobey Maguire Spider-Man,
I hope he doesn't get like more eyes. You know how spiders have multiple eyes?
Well, Geoff, there is a plot line in the comic books called Man Spider. There's a character called Man Spider where his spider DNA starts to take over from the human DNA. So there's some speculation that may be where this one's going.
I hate that. Don't ruin Tom Holland's beautiful face with more eyes. Don't do it, little girl. Creature.
I'm like skeptical of this movie because it comes at this awkward time for the Marvel Cinematic Universe. This is the only Marvel film that's coming out this year other than Doomsday. As we've talked about Doomsday, I'm also skeptical about the action here. Seems fine. It feels a little bit kind of like CGI-y, like plastic dolls going around, you know?
Justin, I would watch that in a heartbeat. Imagine like a Marvel movie, but it's like little like action figures or Barbie dolls. Very Kablam. Do you remember that show?
I very vaguely remember that. Yeah.
They would just like have like, they had like a He-Man doll and like a completely naked Barbie just like kissing all the time.
Yeah.
It was crazy. Can't believe that was allowed on TV for children.
Yeah, and speaking of like slapdash, a lot of the CGI, the Marvel CGI just has not been up to snuff in recent films. So I'm just a little bit skeptical of that.
Budget cuts.
I think that depressed / unhappy Peter Parker does make a good Spider-Man story. Yeah. The best Spider-Man stories are when Peter Parker's desires are counter to Spider-Man's desires. Like that's the whole bit, right? The secret identity thing.
Of course.
Which is why I thought it was smart to basically return Peter to the secret identity closet. You know, I think it's nice to have that dynamic.
Justin said, "Get back in the closet, fag."
Whoa. Definitely didn't say that.
That's what I heard.
Don't put words into my mouth.
You've said that many times off air.
That's just not true. For the record, not true.
You said it to me.
I have never. I have never.
He said it.
Okay. It's good to have him back in the position where he has a secret identity again, and he's like feeling some angst. I will say Sadie Sink of
Stranger
Things fame has also been cast in this movie. She's not in the teaser.
Interesting.
This tells me she is playing an important character.
Right. Because they love a surprise like that.
They love to keep stuff like that under wraps. It's public knowledge that she's been cast. It is not public knowledge what her character is. So there's lots of speculation about who she could be.
Who do you think she is?
So the most common speculation is that she's Jean Grey.
Oh my God, yes. Bring back Jean Grey. Didn't we talk about this like 2 pods ago?
We talked about it because X-Men, the original Fox X-Men, will be featured in Avengers Doomsday.
That's right.
So there is both kind of like the old guard X-Men from the Fox films, and then there is like these rumors. We know that the MCU is developing a new generation of X-Men.
Right.
This may be like a backdoor pilot for an X-Men film, is some of the speculation.
This is fun.
I don't know for sure. I think that she could also be playing like an MCU version of Gwen Stacy. She also could be playing an MCU version of Black Cat.
Who's Gwen Stacy?
She is the blonde love interest that Emma Stone played in the Andrew Garfield Spider-Man films.
Oh, do you know? I don't think I've ever seen those.
Okay, well, she is basically another love interest for Spider-Man.
Okay. Remember in Broad City when Abby is dating Seth Rogen, who plays a character named Male Stacy? I think about that all the time.
I actually don't remember that at all.
Yeah, it's when her air conditioner's broken.
Oh, right. I remember this.
And she's like, and he passes out, and she's like, Mel Stacy, and then she, for some reason, develops a French accent whenever she says his name from then on in the rest of the show. Mel Stacy.
Oh my god.
I want a character named like Mel Stacy in my life. You know, I need like a funny name like that.
If there are any Stacys who are male out there, bantspod@gmail.com.
It could be that.
Reach out.
Could be Mel Stacy.
Yeah, so I don't know. Like, it's always fun to talk about the lore and like what they're doing behind the scenes in these films, but like,
you love to lore.
Still, it doesn't necessarily make the movie good if the movie's not good.
Yeah.
Right. So,
Justin, we're about positivity. Let's think the best thing could happen.
Is it the best thing if the MCU continues to be the juggernaut that it once was in Hollywood? That's an interesting question.
Justin, I don't know, but what I do know is that today is a great day to have a great day.
Okay, and that's Spider-Man Brand New Day. Let's move on. Let's talk about what I think is the scandal that is dominating headlines this week, which is, of course, the Bachelorette cancellation at ABC.
Okay, before we even get into this, I need to
Sure.
know if you legitimately feel that this is dominating headlines.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay,
I've gotten multiple push notifications on my very normie like news app about this.
This is crazy. The Bachelorverse is immense.
There's multiple levels to this, right? So let's start from the beginning.
That's the best place to start, I think.
The 22nd season of The Bachelorette was scheduled to premiere literally tonight, March 22nd.
Damn.
It was scheduled to premiere tonight.
First full night of spring.
And it was set to feature Taylor Frankie Paul as the Bachelorette.
Not a real name. Frankie Paul?
That is her name, Taylor Frankie Paul.
Okay, but that sounds like the name that you make up when you're writing like a creative writing story in third grade. You're like looking around your room and you see your dog named Frankie, and then you're like, Paw, Frankie, Taylor Frankie Paw.
What's that Brady Bunch bit where she's like,
oh, his name is George Glass.
George Glass, that's what it is.
And then she's like, I don't know any George Glass at our school. I mean George Tropicana.
Yeah.
Oh, he must be from Cuba. Yes, that's it.
Damn, you got perfect recall for that.
I know. This is why my brain is bad. Because
the stuff that lives in your head.
That movie, I think, came out when I was 7 and also stars RuPaul Charles, which no one remembers. He plays a guidance counselor, which is fucking hilarious. Anyways, we need to watch that movie. That should be our first, like, I like to watch.
Okay.
Style watch thing.
It's a fun rewind. BANTS. Yeah.
It's a good one.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, rewind. That was our thing.
Yeah. We've
Justin,
been doing
we're
that.
making things happen. They're happening even more organically than we intended it to be.
Taylor Frankie Paul.
Okay, yes. Frankie.
A real person. That is her
real
legal
person
name.
that exists from the Mormon Wives of Stepford or whatever the fuck.
She is the star of Hulu's Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Sure.
So this was an interesting turn for the Bachelorette franchise. I don't pretend to be a fan, but I do know enough to know that usually what happens is they take like a fan favorite who lost the Bachelor season, and they bring her usually to be the star of the Bachelorette.
Yeah, built-in audience.
Although I think that a big part of the reason why they did this was because the audience for the Bachelorette has been floundering. It's been shrinking.
Great show on Apple TV, by the way.
So this seems like a real grasp, a real big swing for more relevance and more viewership, because Secret Lives of Mormon Wives was, of course, a huge hit for Hulu after the whole, Mormon swinger scandal that basically brought that group to life.
Listen, I want to talk about this, though.
Okay.
I do feel a little bit of resentment towards that show, and I've never watched it, and of course don't know these people. I have nothing against them, but I have a little bit of resentment against like Hulu /ABC /Disney /whoever the fuck else owns these companies at this point in time, because I really do feel like they're biting a little bit off of Real Housewives of Salt Lake City. It feels like a little bit of like a cheap knockoff. It feels like a cheater brand.
You're claiming brand loyalty to Real Housewives, basically.
Well, of course.
Okay.
Any day, hands down.
I have a lot of complicated feelings about the Secret Lives show.
Share them with me.
I mean, a lot of them overlap with our reality show discussion, our reality TV discussion that we had like a few months ago now.
Justin, we can never have enough discussion of reality TV because it's always changing.
Like, these folks got famous essentially because they had this group Mom Talk, which began just posting videos on TikTok. They became popular. And then there was this swinging scandal. And I think they basically got like Real Housewives. Listen, nobody's saying that the Real Housewives are like perfect individuals, right? They are on TV because they make drama, right? Like they make entertaining television.
Absolutely, they do.
But
Yes.
This is like taking that to an extreme where it's like we are giving these people a platform because explicitly of their hypocrisy. It feels like people are watching this as a hate watch almost from the jump. And I think that's a little bit different than Housewives, where it's like, sure, people are like a little bit unhinged and a little bit unfiltered on Housewives, but there are moments of like true friendship, community, dealing with real issues, you know.
So true. And that's why I like that show.
And it feels a little bit more real than the mom talk situation, right? Even people who, like Brandy has watched every season of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives.
Has she? Brandy on the pod when?
Actually, she did offer to be here for this segment, but she unfortunately had a core power class, which she loves to do on Sundays.
Brandy said exercise more important than these two nerds.
She literally, that's exactly what she said.
I know.
Verbatim.
It wasn't even a joke that time.
Yeah, so she really loves the show, but she also is like, these people are insane. When people say, are the straights okay? These are the straights that they're talking about.
Of course.
You know, like, so I don't know. I feel like that's an interesting thing. I can't bring myself to watch it because I'll like take off my headphones from editing for like 10 seconds and I hear like some clip of background conversation from this show. And I'm like, these people are fucked up. Like this is an insane conversation to be having. And that's like every time I hear a clip of it.
I feel like it's really hard too, because a lot of these, oh my God, wait, we have to talk about this too. This is a little aside that has to do with karaoke, where we went to earlier this weekend. But I feel like it's really tough when you start digging into people who are on these reality shows, or you listen to things they say and you just are like, that's an interesting comment. And like for me, I'm very sensitive to like always like kind of sussing out people's motives and what their personal views on the world are.
Pattern recognition.
It's my flavor. And I just think it's really tough when these people are like given such a huge platform and they're objectively bad people who support bad things. They're like, I'm not a racist, but this is a country where we speak English. Stuff like that.
When people, whenever somebody says I'm not a racist, but you always know something good's coming, every time.
Yeah, every time something juicy is coming. The other night, we were watching so this bar had on in the background, just for context for those who have not been to this bar, which I hope is most people listening.
I would say 99% of people. 99.999.
It definitely has like a dive vibe. It's definitely a dive bar, period.
I would say it's more of a gutter vibe, personally.
Yeah, that's actually such a great descriptor, Justin, and I'm giving you a point for that because that was very well said. Very illustrative of the vibe of this place. And they had on a Guy Fieri hosted show, and Anna was like, I just really love Guy Fieri. There's just something about him. And I was like, I don't know. I was like, I just feel like if we were to look in his politics, we would not really be a fan of him. And she's like, I don't agree. She's like, he's like an unproblematic white man. She's like, he's like probably the least problematic white man that's out there. And I was like, I really don't agree with that statement. And it's just based on the vibe that I get from like him not ever having spoken out about a lot of political stuff. We looked it up. Sure enough, good friends with Kid Rock, multiple photos of him with He Who Must Not Be Named.
Yeah.
And I was like, girl, I told you. It's when these people, like when the core of their audience is everybody and they're like appealing intentionally to middle America, you just know it's not going to be a good situation politically and what their viewpoints of the world are. And that's tough.
Yeah. And to go back to Secret Lives and Taylor Frankie Paul, I think what's interesting about... Stop, it's her name. It's just her name.
I was just laughing at you being like, yes. Anyway, back to my point.
We gotta keep us on track. We can't have a Guy Fieri expose.
Why not? Maybe it's due.
Taylor Frankie Paul. She was chosen by ABC and Disney to be the Bachelorette of season 22. Right. This is a big swing, a appeal for relevance, essentially, to the broader culture.
Yeah.
And this was supposed to be, this was like, it was being advertised to hell, right? This was a massive deal. When, last week, an argument between Taylor Frankie Paul and her ex-husband and father of her children, Dakota Mortensen, caused production to stop on season 5 of Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. So this was an argument. We don't know that much about it. We just know that it ended up causing a stoppage in production of the TV show. At this point, Bachelorette was not canceled. But following that incident, TMZ published a video. We don't know where the video was leaked from, who leaked it to TMZ, but TMZ published a video of an earlier incident from 2023 between Paul and Mortensen. Their daughter was present. It depicts, I'm just going to say allegedly because this is an ongoing legal dispute, I'm sure. Allegedly, Taylor Frankie Paul is throwing benches at her ex-husband, and well, don't laugh because this
oh my God.
this part
Justin, I'm imagining this woman picking up benches and hurling them at her husband feels like a video game to me. That's why I'm laughing, because what an absurd sentence.
Well, in the video, allegedly, one of the benches does hit her daughter. So this is why.
Oh no!
This is why it is really big scandal.
Oh my God! I'm like actually shook. That's crazy.
Following the release of this video, ABC has just completely canceled the entire season of The Bachelorette, which had already completely filmed, had already been edited, was ready to go.
Holy shit.
I just want to say a couple of things straight up from here. Anybody who watches Secret Lives of Mormon Wives knows that Dakota Mortensen, who is her ex-husband, father of her children, is also not an upstanding guy. This seems to be, and this is my opinion, of course, this seems to be like a toxic relationship that is co-abusive. It seems to me that this is just not a very healthy relationship, and these two individuals are getting into fights all the time. There are messy legal disputes between them. The person who took the video was Mortensen, Dakota Mortensen. So it would not surprise me to learn if it was him or somebody from his team who leaked this to TMZ.
Right.
So I just want to make that clear that as
that's
bad
awful.
as the alleged incidents were that are depicted in this video, we don't know about Dakota. We don't know what might be going on with him as well. And I don't want to place all of the blame on Taylor Frankie Paul. The alleged, if true, like all of the alleged stuff that has been depicted in the video is like awful. I also think this is really a testament to where The Bachelor is like where Disney's philosophy on reality TV is, right? If you take somebody like Taylor Frankie Paul, who is somebody who, again, this is somebody who is platformed because of their hypocrisy. I think people hate watch Secret Lives.
Yep.
Bachelorette began as like, and this is problematic in its own right, but it began as like a truly like, let's try to find this person a true love. And I think that a lot of Bachelorette fans over the years and Bachelor fans have basically transitioned over to hate watching this show because it has become such a like patriarchal, misogyny heavy, racist show. There's been lots of comments on like, how the black contestants fare on Bachelor and Bachelorette, right?
Never well.
There's been a lot of commentary about that. And I think that a lot of the discourse around The Bachelor and The Bachelorette have been about how it is problematic. And choosing Taylor Frankie Paul to be The Bachelorette feels like just a really cynical,
like desperate.
Instead of fixing it, they're saying we're leaning into that. We're going full problematic. We're going full hate watch.
That's interesting.
And I think that this is what happens when you platform people that are problematic and toxic, is that you have these horrible things come out that end up, you end up wasting millions and millions of dollars. I mean, we're talking about a show that was completely filmed, edited, produced, just never going to see the air.
Wild. That's pretty egregious. Obviously, like me laughing earlier about the idea of somebody picking up benches and hurling them, like in my mind, that was like very like a funny image because it felt like so absurdist. Like it felt like a video game. It felt like Donkey Kong, like throwing barrels.
I used the wrong word. I said benches, but I meant stools.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Okay. Well, that's a little less funny in my mind, I guess. But obviously not at all funny, and I don't condone violence, and obviously horrible that her child was even witnessing it, never mind fell victim to being hit by one of these items she was hurling. Damn, that is terrible. I have often felt like Bachelor Nation, as the fans call themselves, were very willing and happy to overlook a lot of the issues with that show, which, of course, like you said, were rooted in misogyny, racism, classism is a big issue in Bachelor 2.
Yeah.
A lot of the people who don't like make the cut or get cut early on because they have like normal jobs and aren't like, high earners, that kind of thing, aren't as conventionally attractive or are people of color. So it's always been a tough show for me and something I've never been interested in. Yeah, that's tough. I'm glad at least that the season got filmed so that all the crew on the show got paid.
From everything that I know, The crew got paid. That's great. I've heard, and this is, hearsay, but I've heard that there are agreements in these contracts where if you are the star of the show and the show gets canceled because of you, because of something that you've done,
Right.
then you have to pay back your appearance fee.
Yeah, some morality clause.
Yeah. So my impression is that it's possible that Taylor Frankie Paul may have to pay for a lot
She
of this,
probably
or at least
will.
back her fee.
She's going to need him for her attorney fees, that's for sure.
This has already been over. Like, the season has been filmed, and like
months ago, I'm sure.
The proposal has already happened, and of course the wedding was called off before any of this ever happened. So like,
wild.
This is what I mean. It's like throwing the original concept and premise of the show out the window just for like, we're just going to be messy.
Yep.
And I think that is kind of like the bottom of the barrel of reality TV. I think that the best reality TV is messy and entertaining, but does have something interesting.
Like Real Housewives of Salt Lake City, everybody.
Yeah.
I feel you. I actually started to watch the other day House of Villains, which is a Peacock show, which takes a bunch of like iconic villains from reality TV in the last like 20 years or so, puts them all in a house together, and they have to do Fear Factor like challenges. I didn't realize the exact premise of the show. I just saw that Tiffany Pollard was on it. Which, by the way, did you watch Tiffany Pollard on Z-Way?
I did. I love Z-Way. It was
insanity.
I don't even know how to describe that. I think the top YouTube comment was "protect gay art," which I did enjoy.
Z-Way is the best.
I don't really know how to describe it. I have not seen Z-Way so out of character in any of the other interviews that she's in. And the fact that
Z-Way
she protected
never break.
Tiffany with a couple of the rants that she said, like bleeped out one of the, I'm assuming, homophobic rants. But who's to say?
Tiffany New York Pollard is insane and so chaotic. And she has the same affliction as me, is when she opens her mouth and then doesn't remember what she said about 5 minutes later. I think she definitely has some undiagnosed ADHD going on.
Yeah, listen, I would recommend watching. It was pretty great.
You guys all need to watch it. If I didn't already have a what's good for this week, I think that might be it, because it really was fucking amazing. And I think I've watched it 3 times now. It's just endlessly entertaining.
Okay, well, Geoff, what do you think? Should we take a quick break and then we'll get to the new Harry Styles album?
You know what, Justin? I think that's quite appropriate.
All right, we'll be right back.
And we're back.
Geoff, we're so back. And we are here today to talk about the new Harry Styles album, Kiss All the Time, period, disco, occasionally. Or as the kids are calling it, Kisco for short. This is the 4th album from Harry Styles. It was released a couple weeks ago on March 6th. It was produced by Styles' frequent collaborators Kid Harpoon and Tyler Johnson. And it was preceded by the single Aperture, which we talked about on the pod and we both loved. It debuted at number 1 on the Billboard 200. Harry Styles was the first artist since Alicia Keys to debut their first 4 albums at the top of the Billboard 200.
Wow.
And it was also the best-selling album from a male solo artist since Ed Sheeran's Divide. So this was a big hit commercially. Geoff, do you have a history with Harry Styles? Are you like a Styles fan? And what were your expectations of this album?
I loved Harry's House, and what I liked about that album a lot was that it was pretty unconventional. He did a lot of genre hopping. It felt personal, but it also felt like applicable to the masses. I felt like we got a really kind of a cool view on his perspective of the world. And I expected kind of a similar vibe for this. I also expected it to be very like dance forward, given the name and the aesthetics of the album. And I'm curious what your expectations were about the album and what your thoughts on Harry Styles are as a persona.
Yeah, Harry Styles, I have been like a casual fan, I guess. Not even a fan. Like, I like some of his songs. I don't like some of his songs. I talked a little bit of shit about Watermelon Sugar when we talked about Aperture. Not really into that song. But this album, I was very excited for, because Aperture came out, and when you put out like a 5-minute long dance music inspired song as the lead single for like, biggest male pop star that we have probably right now, that tells me I'm going to do something weird with this album. So I was like, okay, cool. I'm hyped for this. If we want to get into the album itself, I feel like I had to deal with my own expectations of this album quite a bit when listening to it, because
I agree.
Aperture was easily the most dancey song on the album.
Yep.
If there are other influences here aesthetically and sonically, it is from indie rock, I think.
Okay, I'm so glad you said that.
When we talked, so we talked about his performance of Aperture at the BAFTAs, right? And you were like, I don't really know what the fuck his outfit is. Like, he was wearing this long tie, baggy suit. And you were like, I thought this was supposed to be like a dance album, and I'm not really getting that from that styling.
Right.
It all makes sense, right? Because he's doing David Byrne. He's doing Talking Heads. This is like what the album is.
I have to tell you, I don't have the reference point for Talking Heads.
Gotcha. If you Google like David Byrne and just image search, you'll see him wearing a suit much like the one that Harry Styles was wearing at the BAFTAs.
I thought he was doing like Peter Gabriel drag in that performance.
I think he was doing like, this is a kind of quirky indie rock thing.
Interesting. Okay.
Instead of being a dance forward album, which is what, even the name of the album implied.
Yes.
This was a much more indie rock influenced album, which
I agree.
I don't hate. I also like indie rock, but expectation wise, I was like, strange that you would choose Aperture as your lead single, but okay. And then lyrically, I feel like this was a lot about Harry Styles setting expectations or meeting expectations of his fan base. When listening to the album, I noticed that there was a lot of second person. There was a lot of talking about you, right? Talking to seemingly directly to the audience, and not a lot of introspection.
Yes.
I think that the strongest songs on this album are the ballads, which is like weird for me to say.
I'm very surprised you said that, and I quite agree. We're very aligned so far, Justin.
I'm interested to hear this. Yeah, I'm not usually a big ballad guy, but like those are the only songs where Harry Styles seems to dig into like something actually meaty.
I agree.
And unfortunately, all of the more energetic indie rock sounding songs are kind of empty. They can be fun, right? And sonically and aesthetically, they're like fun, and I like indie rock, but there's nothing in the production that makes me like sit up from my chair. There's nothing lyrically that really makes me sit up from my chair. And I want to also say that, like, we're not the target audience.
That's true. Well, I might be part of the target audience in a way.
We can get into that, actually. That's an interesting conversation to have.
Yeah.
But I think that a lot of the Ewing is speaking directly to who he perceives his audience to be. And I just don't feel like I'm being spoken to, and it doesn't feel relevant to me. So I'm not connecting with it. And that's okay. Maybe it's not for me.
Sure.
But basically, I left this feeling like Harry Styles is somebody who has good taste, and he like clearly likes cool bands and can replicate the sounds of those bands and those artists, but he's really doing it as like pastiche and not putting a lot of himself into it.
I had very similar thoughts. I was really excited for this album because, like you said, I think we both agreed that Aperture was a strong opener. And we were curious to see more because it was a little genre bendy. I love the gospel influence of this song at the end. There was like definitely like an electronica influence to the music, or electronica type sound to the music. So I was excited about that. I do think that the content of this album overall like belies the title. I don't think that there is a ton of disco influence. I think there's like 2 songs maybe that really sound disco-y to me. I took notes when I listened to this album. And I actually did listen to the album, Justin.
Let's go.
Sonny Hostin.
We're so back.
And I took some notes while I was listening to it, and I wrote down the following band names several times while I was listening.
Okay.
I wrote down Phoenix.
Yeah, Phoenix. There is a Phoenix song on here. Yep.
I wrote down Vampire Weekend and Ezra Koenig.
Let's talk about how Harry Styles is literally ripping off Ezra Koenig on this album.
And I also wrote down Gorillaz.
Interesting. I didn't get Gorillaz as much, but I can see the influence.
There was one song in particular that I felt like this could be, in another world with a better version of this song, it would be a Gorillaz track. And I'll tell you about that when we get into the track by track.
Couple other names I want to drop in the chat here.
Drop them in.
Lots of Tame Impala vibes, I think, especially on one particular song on here that we can get into. One of my favorite songs on the album. I also think like a little bit of MGMT, like early and mid-career MGMT with some of the kind of like vaguely electro-inspired indie rock.
Yeah.
And also, of course, LCD Sound System, which was on Aperture and continues to be on the rest of the album, I think, as well.
I felt like this album sounded to me like it could have come out while we were in college, like 2010, 2011. I would have been like, oh yeah.
Harry Styles as an individual, as like a character, I think is interesting because he seems to be having like one of the most surprisingly normal 30-somethings experiences, you know, like he's a little bit himbo-y. He's like, have you guys heard of MGMT? And he's like 32.
Right. Well, yeah.
I love it for him. We talked about this. I don't want to gatekeep specific genres of music from people, and like people come to things at different periods of his life. And this is something that I actually like about the album, is that he has good taste. It's just funny that he is like discovering this now and he's like, damn, this stuff is pretty good. Yeah.
It's funny because I remember you saying that when we first listened to like Aperture weeks ago, and I wrote down this sentence. Well, we can talk about it later, but it says, this sounds very much like white guy discovering dance music.
Yes, like white guy is starting to microdose mushrooms, you know?
My God, they love to talk about it. They love to talk about, you haven't lived, man. You haven't lived until you tried it. I'll teach you. I'll guide you. I'll be your Sherpa, man. Should we maybe go track by track, or would you rather talk about highs and lows? How do you want to do this one?
I think we should do highs and lows.
Okay.
Personally. And let's start with highs. We like to start on the positive. So what were some of your favorite songs on the album, Geoff?
Okay. We already discussed Aperture. I don't think I have much more substantive feedback about that song. That for me was a high. And I thought it was a perfect opening track for the album because it made me excited to hear what else was happening. Turns out I was a little disappointed, but still a great opener. One song that I really enjoyed was Coming Up Roses.
Just for tonight, let's go hangover chasing. Now talk your ear.
This is, I guess it isn't the first ballad. You could say The Waiting Game is also a ballad, but
which was also one of my faves.
Yeah, this one is definitely like the ballad, though.
This song to me felt the most personal. It felt the most intimate. I took the song's meaning to be kind of like a celebration on the temporal and impermanent beauty of romance.
Yeah.
I liked the orchestral kind of composition of this song. The strings were fantastic. The percussion was limited but effective and evocative. There were parts of it where it sounded like heart beating, like very faintly in the background, which I liked.
Yeah.
And I think that it was smart to make this music accompanying the lyrics very orchestral because it added to like a kind of heightened phantasmagoric romantic feeling.
Yeah, I totally agree. This is also one of my highlights. For whatever reason, I became a little bit focused on whether he's talking in first person or third person or second person in these songs. And this is one of the only songs where he does like the first person plural. He says we
like,
a lot.
Yeah.
Which I think is telling because in a lot of the other songs, he speaks to an audience, you, right? And I think that distances himself a little bit from what he's singing about.
Interesting. I didn't really pick up on that, but that's cool that you noticed it.
I was trying to figure out why it was that I felt like he was distanced in a lot of these songs.
Okay.
And I guess that's what I landed on, was that it seems like he's not including himself in a lot of the songs and a lot of the lyrics.
Yeah.
And this is one of the only ones where I feel like he is including himself. I also love the instrumentation. There is like a nice instrumental outro of this song where with swelling strings that are just very beautiful and emotionally moving. And it's not like a new idea. This like, you know, it's Coming Up Roses right now. And I'm trying not to think about where this might go, but like we're having fun and we're going to go hangover chasing, which I think is also like a fun turn of phrase.
I did like that phrase, hangover chasing.
So yeah, this is a really nice one. And I think it'll be a highlight in live shows too. You know, I can imagine this being like a really sweet performance.
You gotta have a live orchestra, man. You gotta trust me. You haven't lived until you've been to the orchestra, man.
And this is another one where I'm like, he was marketing this as a dance record, and this is the strongest song on the album. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like there is just like an expectation differential there that I had to kind of get over on my first listen for sure.
I agree with you. I did feel overall that the album felt a little disjointed. And you know how I like when an album has like a really common like theme and there's like a connective string that runs through it. So for me, this album was like lacking that a bit. Felt like a lot of good individual ideas, but altogether it felt a little bit like it didn't quite work for me. It was a little sweaty.
I totally agree. I found myself thinking a lot about radical optimism listening to this album.
Interesting. Tell me why.
Well, okay, there's things that are similar and things that are different. I think that both albums suffer from good taste, kind of. Like I think both Dua and Harry Styles are very tasteful about what they choose their album to sound like, what they want their album to sound like.
Yeah.
The detriment to that is that sometimes it can feel a little bit safe, a little bit boring. And I think that both albums suffer from that. The difference being that Radical Optimism had a through line through the entire album thematically. Yes. And that aligned with this kind of like safe feeling, warm, disco inspired vibe of the album. Here, I don't think that there is a lot of that. It's kind of these safe, like, you know, I'm being very tasteful with my choices. And it allows people who have always been fans of Harry Styles to say, look, he's an artist. He's got good taste, you know, but like when you dig down into some of these other songs, there's not a lot there. And I do think that Coming Up Roses is maybe one of the more introspective and relationship focused songs on the album, along with maybe the two other ballads, which maybe we'll get into as well.
Yeah, maybe do you want to talk about The Waiting Game?
Yeah, that's one of the other ones. Yeah. And this one, in my opinion, this is kind of like being on the apps, basically, or like how difficult it is to be like looking for a long-term relationship. And this is one of the songs where he speaks in the you, right? A lot of other songs he's talking about his friends, or like, he's like, yeah, I got a friend who has this issue. Like, Harry, you can just say.
Right. Yes.
I don't know why he just makes that choice. You know, he says, you know, in American Girls, which is the second single, he also says like, all my friends are with American Girls. I'm like, you're talking about this like it's a product that's been recommended to you. Like, what? This is so strange, you know? Anyways, The Waiting Game is like, I think a little bit more effective in its thematic content.
This is the song where I felt like, okay, this is very Vampire Weekend coded, but I also think like a better version of this song, like there were elements of it that reminded me of the Gorillaz.
Interesting.
The Gorillaz could take this song and really turn it out, and it would be cunty as fuck. And like this song I liked it, but it was not a 10 out of 10 for me by far. Like it was enjoyable. I was not going to skip it.
Yeah, it was not a skip for me for sure.
Yeah, I think what I liked about this is that there is like a universality of relating to things just not working out and the frustration of that. And I took this, of course, to mean, you know, with relationships, with dating, but it sounded like to me like he was kind of frustrated about putting a lot of effort into coming up with music that he thought was good, but that also would be well received by others. And that's sort of, I think, what you were speaking to about distancing himself a little bit and wanting to make a product that is sellable and something his fans will like for him. And I think it kind of relates to another track on the album, which for me was not like a song that I loved, but it's called Paint by Numbers.
Yeah, okay.
Because he kind of talks about like fame as like a prison and being put in a box. And he's like, well, now I have to, because this is what people expect of me. This is the kind of music I have to put out.
I think that Harry is like terminally self-aware, right? Like he is so self-aware of his position. And it seems like he's almost scared to be like, I have it hard. Because even first of all, The Waiting Game, I agree with everything you've said. I like the instrumentation. I like the little wop, 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 wop.
Yeah.
There's like some cool, fun little electronic things that happen in there that I think are cool. I agree with you. It's not like my favorite song on the album, but it was one of the highlights on first listen. If we move to Paint by Numbers, this is one that to me, again, it's very personal in some ways because it seems to me to be very obviously about his relationship with Olivia Wilde. Because he talks about, you know, the expectations on her, and she has American kids. This obsession with American identity is also really fascinating.
It is fascinating.
I don't really know what that means.
Holding the weight of the American children is hard to.
He talks about that. He talks about almost like in the third person, he talks about himself like Olivia and him are perceived by the culture as like him being kind of the trophy husband. And like she should be happy to be with him, you know? And I think that that's where the Paint by Numbers is. It's like they're kind of being fenced in by the perceptions of the larger culture on their relationship. And this is another example. While I liked this song, it is also he's kind of distancing himself, right? He's not talking about his experience in that relationship. He's saying like, damn, Olivia must have it so hard in this relationship, having to raise these kids and having to be with this amazingly attractive 33-year-old kid. And it must be hard for her to tell people that her partner is not even 33 or whatever, you know? And I feel like while that is true, I'm sure that it was hard for Olivia in that instance. And like the paint was kind of like going outside of the lines a little bit, bleeding outside of the lines in a way that made Harry uncomfortable. I also kind of want to know what Harry felt in that situation, right? Like, this is your album, dude. And I feel that both in the lyrical content and in the style of music. Like, it seems like he's almost trying to Trojan horse his own music taste into this album in a way that's palatable to his fans.
Yeah.
And I'd rather that he just go all out with it, you know?
Yes. Something that I like envisioned in my mind, but I couldn't really articulate effectively. And I think that you said it perfectly. He like Trojan horses his taste into his music with like references. But I also think when you were talking about him distancing himself, I felt like he was writing a lot of these songs as if he was an outsider watching his life happen. And so these are almost like observations of his experiences. So it's like, I forget what that's called. There's a literary device when a character is experiencing something, but they choose to retell the story from the perspective of another person. And a lot of artists or a lot of authors who didn't want to be identified did this. I don't know what that's called. I can't remember what this literary device is called. So somebody much smarter than me, I'm sure, is like shouting at their phone right now as they're listening to this. But that's kind of how it felt to me. It felt like he was almost like removing himself. And by doing that, I think it kind of gets to some of the other things that we were talking about feeling with this album, like almost like he has like self-isolated and put himself safely behind his lines, and it is almost so that he's like not able to directly be criticized.
Or I think it's just, it's like safety.
Maybe it's like a vulnerability. Yeah, a lack of vulnerability.
It's like a safe distance, right?
Yeah, I think you're right.
I think he is, like I said, very self-aware, and he doesn't, he knows that he can be criticized for the stuff if he puts in his own feelings, as opposed to kind of talking in the third person about himself as like a character. What's interesting is even though he does talk about himself in the third person, like in Paint by Numbers, for example, it's not like he's going deep into this character's inner feelings, right? It's more just like, we all know that this guy that I'm talking about is me, but I'm just going to keep him in the third person, keep him at a safe distance. And I want to just say, like, Harry Styles seems to be doing pretty well. Like, this is not a guy who I'm like, oh, he's unhealthily dealing with these things.
Yeah.
It seems to me like, if anything, he's dealing with them in a personal way, in a way that is healthy for him. And he's, developed all of these interests and like clearly has a vivid and like exciting personal life. I think maybe this is just like setting a boundary, in some ways. We've talked a lot about like the artist's boundary between like their personal life and their public persona. And it is always kind of like a weird boundary there where it's very leaky and sometimes things leak into the other thing. But if this is working for him, then I think that's great for his like personal life. I just think that it is evident on the album that this is something that he's like not really comfortable digging into. I think he's more comfortable kind of like meeting the assignment that he sees himself as having, right? Like for his audience. Yeah. He's like, I just want to put out an album that is like tasteful and that my audience likes, instead of like, I want to make this album my diary, Yeah.
Yep.
And that's fine for him. And I think that like, for me, this is like a very listenable album. It's a great like put on in the background at a dinner party type album, but I don't see it being like in the top 5 favorite albums of the year for me.
Yeah, I agree with you. Well, speaking of things that we don't necessarily love, I wonder if there are any tracks on here that you really thought were boo-boo garbage.
Before we go into boo-boo garbage, I do want to talk about one song that's like not one of the ballads that I did like.
Oh, okay, great.
I think that all of them share this kind of like almost pandery vibe to them. But one that I really liked, at least aesthetically, was Pop, which is a song that is lyrically seemingly about orgasm, like Pop the Champagne type situation. Is about tension and release and stuff. It's not very deep, right? Yeah. But this is the Tame Impala song to me. This sounds a lot like Tame Impala. And I think I do have a soft spot for songs that are called pop ever since the NSYNC song Pop, which was like one of my favorite NSYNC songs back in the olden days.
It's a good one.
I think this one has like summer banger energy. I hope that this will be one of the big singles and not some of the songs that I like a lot less. Harry Styles has a habit of putting out songs that I don't like as much from his albums as his singles. But this is one of the ones that stood out to me.
For this song, there's something about it sonically that I only listened to what I think is a reference for the song one time. So I couldn't quite hear exactly what I was hearing that shares DNA, but it instantly reminded me of the song by Shania Twain called Thank You Baby from her album Up from 2001. And
she does it better.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, Up is like one of the iconic pop country crossovers. Like that album rules. Yeah.
And I do think that there's an element of this song that was talking about him writing pop radio friendly music.
It's a double entendre. Yeah.
And so it was interesting because that's sort of, in a way, sort of what that song by Shania Twain is about too. And after I looked up the song, I remembered that she and Harry Styles are good friends. So it wouldn't surprise me at all if this was actually inspired by that song. And I am hearing something that is like an interpolation from that song, or that just shares similar, I don't know, chord structure or something. Something about it was similar. I couldn't quite tell what it was.
Yeah, I think the Tame Impala influence for me was twofold. It was the kind of like rolling beat, not quite a dancey beat, but it's like pum, 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 you know, and it feels like a gallop almost. And then the guitar parts where it goes. Big electric riffs, which feel very Tame Impala to me, like mashing the big electric guitar with this kind of like slightly dancey indie rock backbone, I think is very like psychedelic rock Tame Impala vibes, you know?
Yeah, I think that is what it is, Justin. I think you just said it exactly, because that song on Shania's album is sort of a standout from that album because it does have like a bit of a psychedelic edge to it, and it is like definitely the most rock forward song.
Well, let's get into the garbage songs, Geoff. Okay. Which, if any, songs on this album were you not vibing with? And I think we might share an opinion here.
Okay, I have a feeling I know what one you really didn't like.
Okay.
And I didn't love it only because, like, I thought it was very listenable, and I think it was, like, kind of fun, but I also feel like it was extremely pandery. It was the song Dance No More.
Yeah, this song is like, let me try to come up with a pithy one-liner on this song.
Okay, get those wheels turning. The little hamster in there needs to wake up.
This is like sleepy Bruno Mars.
It's funny you say that.
Derogatory. It also feels very like Play That Funky Music, white boy.
Justin. Yes.
Like Harry Styles, you don't have the moves to try to pull this off. Like Bruno Mars, with my issues with him aside, he at least has like the dancing ability. Like he has the bona fides to pull something like that off. I don't buy Harry Styles doing a Play That Funky Music, white boy. Like you don't have that in the bank. You know what I mean?
He doesn't have the vernacular he thinks he possesses.
He really doesn't. Like, what's like the refrain that he keeps saying? Like something about your mother. I'm like, you don't have that.
Respect your mother.
Respect to your mother. Yeah, something like that. It was a little bit. That's why I was like, okay, this sounds pandery. This sounds like a white guy doing like a Sly and the Family Stone.
Yes.
I said it's very 80s. It's very like white guy discovering dance music.
Funk. Yeah, it's very funk heavy.
Yeah. And so for that reason, I was like, this isn't great. It's like listenable. I'm sure that people will love it at weddings in the future. But for me, it's just kind of like, wah, wah. Not that great.
Okay, I'm on the Wikipedia page for Kiss All the Time right now. And this song already has its own Wikipedia page, even though it's not a single. So you know that the Harry Styles fans love this one because they're like, this is a fan favorite. That's crazy to me. This is like not very close the worst song in the album, in my opinion.
Well, it's kind of funny because it also follows pop, which I think was kind of talking about his tension of like doing music that's authentically what he wants to make and stuff that's also pop friendly.
And one of my favorites on the album. So I'm like coming off pop. I'm like, okay, that one's pretty cool. And then Dance No More.
Yeah.
It does sound like, you know, he's doing Uptown Funk. Like he was like, let's get some of that Bruno Mars money.
And when I said earlier, very 80s, like I meant that sonically, but I also meant like of the mindset of the 80s of like, oh my God, this like funky, you know, black dance music is actually really great, you guys.
Have you guys heard of this?
Yeah. And that's tough. That's tough in this big age.
Yeah. And lyrically, it's not very strong. And I know that it's supposed to be silly. I think it is trying to be a little bit silly. He performed this song on SNL, which is when I got the red flag that I was like, oh no.
Yeah.
He's thinking about putting this one out as a big single.
Well, that's tough.
And I was like, oh boy, I don't know if I can get behind that. That's going to be Watermelon Sugar at vibes for me.
You hate that song.
It's not good. It's not good, Geoff.
Harry Styles hates to see you coming.
I think Harry Styles is a good hang, for the record. Harry Styles, if you want to come on the pod, by all means. He seems like a chill guy.
He's very witty too.
Yeah, he's funny.
I like that.
It's just that this song isn't for me, and that's okay.
It is okay. What else were you not really feeling on the album?
First time listening to this album, it opens with Aperture. And then there is the very pandery but sonically very satisfying American Girls. which I was like, okay, he's got to have this song on here. Like, this one's going to go off live.
That one's for the 1D fans, I think.
Exactly.
The music video specifically.
Even though the lyrics are very pandery, the song is kind of nice sonically, and the piano chords, that coming back is fun.
I have no issue with it.
But then the one where I was like, ooh, I don't know if I'm going to like this album was Are You Listening Yet? Which is a song that I don't really know what it's about. And sonically, I don't really know what it's doing. The percussion is interesting, but other than that, I got nothing else to say about the instrumentation. It's very blasé.
I didn't like the sing talking.
Right. The sing talking is tough. And I'm just going to read you a quick few lines from this song. You can give me your interpretation.
Okay.
Don't blink or mix the medium. You're smarter than that. This world is screaming, so you start to scream right back. This unpredictable fun is fun if you know how. If you must join a movement, make sure there's dancing. Any thoughts on those few bars from Harry Styles on that song?
I don't think I'm in the headspace to digest the meaning. I think if I was high, that maybe it would make more sense to me. Maybe it's supposed to be a song about like protest?
If it's a protest song, it's like the weak sauciest protest song I've ever heard in my life.
Sauciest. It feels a little contrived.
It's stuff that like on a line by line basis, you're like, that sounds like it could be something cool. And then together it's like, I actually have no idea what the fuck this is about.
It kind of sounds like when I thought I was going to be a recording artist at age like 15 and I was like, we're putting pen to paper and I'm going to write a hit. It feels like this.
This is not an accusation, but it feels a little bit A1. I don't think that he actually used A1, but like it has that energy.
Okay.
In that it's like it gives an impression of an idea, concepts of a plan, if you will.
Concepts of I was just going to say that.
It doesn't actually have a concept behind it, And this song is just like that in spades to me. Like it just isn't saying anything, and it's not very exciting sonically either. This one was one of the toughest songs on the album for me outside of Dance No More, which I think is kind of just embarrassing.
Yeah.
I think he's almost distancing himself too far where it's like he's afraid to say anything almost. And this is one of those where I feel like if he came out a little bit stronger pro-protest or talked about something more specifically, it would have been more powerful. And instead, we're kind of left with this very lukewarm, what's this about?
Yeah. I would say I was pretty tepid about this album overall. The last song on the album, Carla's song, I thought was an interesting concept. This to me was also another, like, I'm like, was this song not on Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix?
This one and Taste Back, I think, are the two songs that reminded me of Phoenix.
Yes. That's exactly right. Taste Back did remind me of Phoenix. I wrote that too. I wrote, reminds me of Phoenix, Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix, that album. Yeah. And that's also the one where I wrote Ezra Koenig-esque vocals. But Carla's song, I think, had an interesting idea behind it, which I feel like, as we discussed, a lot of the songs didn't necessarily have a great message or thought. But I think that this song was really about, like, to borrow your favorite phrase, a meditation on music's timelessness.
Yeah.
And the ability of music to evoke a feeling in you decades after it's been written. I looked it up afterwards, so this part's not my original analysis, but he was inspired by Simon and Garfunkel's song Bridge Under Troubled Water.
Yeah, that's shouted out at the beginning, right?
Yes, he says something about troubled water, and I guess he has a friend named Carla who, like, he introduced to that song, which again was very much giving, oh man, I'll teach you, let me show you, you don't know what you're missing.
Have you heard of Simon and Garfunkel?
Yeah. Basically, like, he was inspired to write the song because he was so affected by so much music that is, now 40, almost 50 years old. And he just wanted to, like, I guess, like, talk about the impact that songs can have on people's lives.
Yeah, and that's wholesome.
So it was like an interesting idea, but the song was like just kind of mid to me.
It was just a bit more of a swing than all the other songs. So like we talked about how Aperture was 5 minutes long. It was the debut single. Mm-hmm. And it was weird that the weirdest song on the album was the debut single. I would have expected the rest of the album to be more weird. But if you look at the song lengths, they're all like 3.5 minutes long,
yeah,
2.5 minutes long.
Trust me.
Which is fine, but it's very like safe. That's radio friendly, you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Carla's song is maybe the only other song on the album that takes a swing like formally, because it's a little bit stranger structurally than the other songs on the album. It has this very long and one of the more dancey outros on the entire album as well, with the refrain. What does he say? He says, I know what you like. I know what you really like. And it's like that repeated, and it has a little bit of like an indie dance rock energy to it in a way that the rest of the album doesn't have.
I wrote Listomania on barbiturates.
Yes, it is very
Because it sounds like
Listomania,
Listomania, but like slowed down a bit.
Yeah.
It's 25% slower.
And Wolfgang Amadeus Phoenix is one of my favorite albums.
Great
like, all
album.
time. So again,
So much
sonically,
fun.
I like the references.
Yeah.
So I don't hate this album. I
No,
don't
I
even
don't hate it
dislike
either.
it. I think it's actually very like tasteful and it's great to put on in the background. But I just think if you dig into it, it doesn't really reward that
Yeah,
in ways that other albums that we've talked about do.
I agree. Well, Justin, if you had to give this album a score of 1 through 10, and we can do half scales as always, what would you give this? Because for me, I think it would be a 6.5.
6.5. I would say 7.5. I'm a
Okay.
little higher on it, I guess.
Okay.
Solid C for me.
Okay. I could bump it up to a 7. I can meet you in the middle, Benjamin Button style.
All right.
This gets a 7 from the BANTS boys.
Hell yeah. Okay. Well, with that rating, Geoff, let's take a quick break and we'll be right back with some What's Goods.
Sounds great.
And we're back.
Justin, we're so back. We had a great discussion, I feel.
Yeah. Shout out Harry Styles. We didn't love the album, but
we love you.
we think you're a chill guy. Seem like a good hang. So shoot us an email, bantspod@gmail.com.
His people are going to be hitting us up hard.
Oh, they're
after
running.
this.
They're running to their laptops to email us.
Well, we had a lovely discussion about kiss shit. Kisco, as the kids say.
That's right.
Kiss all the time, disco occasionally.
hmm
We talked about The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. We talked about The Bachelorette. We talked about Goon 3. We talked about what else?
Spider-Man.
Of course, Tom Holland.
Man Spider.
And now, Justin, it's time for us to talk about a piece of media that we both have really been enjoying in the last week. And I'm going to ask you the question that we always ask at this time of the pod. Justin, what's good?
Well, Geoff, I have a couple of songs to share today.
A couple?
Just 2 songs. Just 2. These are singles. Everybody is the name of the first one, and One More Night is the name of the second one. And these are both from Italian producer Polsky, I think is how you pronounce his stage name. It's Polezsky.
This feels vaguely racist, I have to say. This sounds like a Polish joke. I don't know.
I don't know. Maybe I'm pronouncing it wrong. I don't know. Maybe he's Polish. Like, he's from Italy. I know that
Okay.
for sure, but maybe ethnically he's Polish. I don't
Could
know
be.
much about him.
Could be.
He is a music producer, again, based out of Italy. And these singles came out on the electronic dance music label Bitbird, which is run by producer and DJ San Holo, which is a Han Solo pun.
Yes, of course. You talked about him before on the pod.
Did we?
You definitely have talked about San Holo. Yes, you definitely mentioned him before on the pod.
He started his own record label, and he's all about promoting these kind of up-and-coming producers.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes somebody just comes out of the woodwork, and you're like, where did this person come from, and how are they making such good music kind of out the gate?
That's what people say about me all the time.
I'm always saying that about Geoff. This guy, Polsky, he actually, if you go on his official website, he has a lot of experience making music for companies, for ads and stuff like that. So that explains why he has so much kind of production and sound design expertise under his belt, and how he was able to come out the gate with these really strong singles. I want to say that the first single, Everybody, features a fellow Italian producer, Kang Brule, who also comes from the commercial scene in Italy. And the second single, One More Night, features an Edinburgh-based producer called DG, who is somebody who, again, I just like randomly, spontaneously came across on SoundCloud before this single release. So to see this collaboration, I was like, okay, I got to start paying attention. Like I wasn't familiar with your game, Polsky. So in terms of why I like these songs, these are very melodic songs, very feel-good house music, but it does have a lot of like prog, meaning like progressive house influence, in that the songs progress over time and they build into something as opposed to kind of blowing their load right at the drop. Very euphoric sounding, and it also has a lot of garage influence, which, as you know, I'm a big fan.
You're a huge fan of the UK garage.
The BPM is up in the garage tempo range. It's 135 to 140, somewhere around there. I'll put a clip in, obviously. I'll put a clip in of Everybody, which is probably my favorite of the two. And this is the one featuring Kang Brûlée.
I love that name, by the way, Kang Brûlée.
It's a cool name, right?
I don't think I'll ever forget it.
Sometimes somebody comes out of nowhere and blows you away, and this one really did. So definitely check out these two singles. The fact that both of these came from Bitbird makes me think that perhaps Polsky has a project coming along, an EP or an album, which I would love, because I am a huge fan of both of these singles.
And we're thirsty for the dance music.
Especially, given we talked about how Kiss All the Time Disco occasionally disappointed a little bit on the dance front. Mm-hmm. This is filling that void in my soul at the moment. And it does fit the springtime vibes that I'm having right now, and that they're very bright, very happy sounding songs.
I love that. Thanks for that great recommendation. I was just reminded, because you were talking about great springtime vibes. Are the cherry blossoms absolutely going off right now in the district?
They have begun. They literally opened, I think, this weekend. So season has begun. I don't think we're in peak bloom yet, but they have opened.
Every single year, I'm like, I'm going to visit all these bitches during cherry blossom season, because I've always wanted to be there and go walk to the Jefferson Memorial during that time.
The tidal basin, yeah.
And then every year it doesn't happen. And that's really tough for me.
I'll remind you next year. How about that?
All right.
Well, Geoff, that's what's good with me this week. What has been good with you?
Well, Justin, I love TV.
I do.
And I have been watching a show that our friends Sam and Ali told me about. This is a new documentary television series that came out on HBO. It's called Neighbors, and it's directed and executive produced by Harrison Fishman and Dylan Redford. I'm not familiar with their work, but another EP on this production is Josh Safdie, whose work we are all too familiar with, I would say.
Famously the director of Marty Supreme.
And I would also say that his influence is all over the show.
Interesting.
So basically, the concept of this show is that it explores complex and purely chaotic conflicts that neighbors have with each other.
So this is like a reality show. It's not fictional.
Yeah, it's a docuseries.
Okay.
I also want to say that it's produced by Podfave A24.
This explains a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. It goes all over the country. Each episode includes 2 disputes between neighbors. Mm-hmm. They kind of go back and forth. So it's half-hour episodes, which is great. It's nice and fast. Each dispute gets about 15 minutes of coverage, equal coverage. And I don't know how, but there are so many absolutely batshit crazy people living next to each other in this country. And it made me wonder if maybe we're all just one particular trigger away from spiraling out and becoming absolute nightmares.
Yeah. How normal are we really?
Yeah. These people just talk about being down in the gutter. Some of the things that these people do to each other is just absolutely batshit crazy. Tearing out their hedges and throwing them in their yard, throwing pots at each other, recording each other 24/7 with a huge number. I think the last person on episode 5, which I just watched, they had 27 security cameras on their house that were all pointed at their neighbors.
Jesus Christ.
Truly capturing their every move. It's just absolutely fucking nuts. So what's interesting about this is that Harrison Fishman and Dylan Redford, the producers of this show, were inspired to make it after watching viral videos of neighbors who were at war with each other during the COVID-19 pandemic. And the production of this docuseries lasted 2 years. They also found a lot of these stories from scouring local newspapers, looking at Facebook groups, and looking at small claims court groups as well, on the internet.
That's a great poll. Yeah.
Yeah. Very, very Judge Judy style folks and Jerry Springer style folks in this show. It's just absolutely wild. It's riveting. The first episode I did not really care for because it took me a little while to get into the editing style. I described it at first as it feeling like I was watching a 15-minute long or 30-minute long trailer for a film to come. because they do a lot of like very frenetic. The camera style is it's definitely like what is it called?
Oh, handheld?
Yeah, handheld recording style. It's very frenetic. Sometimes like when the production team is interviewing one neighbor, the other one is in the background screaming at them or taunting them. And so they're going like, whipping the camera back and forth.
Yeah, it sounds like it's more documentary style. I know you said docudrama already, but I think that...
Oh, I meant to say documentary series.
Right, it's much more documentary style and less like reality show, right? Because reality show, they have these like stationary cameras.
There are confessional moments. So there are like the reality confessional moments, but it's definitely more like a documentary.
Gotcha.
Yeah, it's wild.
It's fascinating. So Brandy also started watching this on the recommendation of Sam and Allie. So I've caught a few clips, and I think that's something that they do effectively is almost like social media induced psychosis. At least I saw one interaction between two neighbors. This is the one where there is a guy who I think used to be like a bodybuilder or a dancer or something. And there is like a veteran who lives across the street from him who is like, I mean, these people are both insane.
Yeah.
Right. For the record. His neighbor is like a veteran who is constantly like brandishing his gun at him. And then the dancer is constantly recording him. Right. And he's posting every single interaction they have to YouTube. And it's almost like this psychosis that he really believes that this will cause people to care about his situation.
Yep.
And I think that's something that like is really real in today's society, is that people think because they have this portal to like the greater world that they have this potential influence. And it's like, listen, as somebody who is involved with a podcast that is trying to put out content on like Instagram and other social media platforms, like just because you put it out there doesn't mean you're going to get anybody's attention.
Totally.
So it does feel like a mass psychosis thing that's happening. And I think that at least the clip that I saw captured that really well.
There's one guy who has very successfully turned his feud with his neighbor, like outside of the show, into like a full-fledged like income producing job.
Damn.
He's like been posting stuff on YouTube, and he said he's made like $176,000 getting paid by YouTube, TikTok, Instagram, because all his content is getting so many views because it's just so outrageous.
And that's like another form of like psychosis, right? Like content, financializing, what's the word?
Monetizing every
personal thing that's happened to you. You know what I mean? And like turning that into a source of income. And then the incentive structures there are really fucked up, right? Because then you have a lot of incentives to make things even more unhinged and crazy.
Oh, yeah. Everything has to get bigger.
Speaking of the Bachelorette stuff, yeah.
Yeah, it's a really crazy show. There's only 6 episodes. The last one just came out this weekend on the 20th. So if you're interested in being nosy and seeing like insane people interact with each other and have lots of conflict with, by the way, no resolution ever. This does not ever tell a complete story. All these people are so in their like psychosis state that they never feel like the problem is dealt with adequately, and they're always just pushing for legal action and for more resolution when really there's none to be found. It's wild.
I worry that this would like give me anxiety, because I feel like it really does take like 2 specific kinds of people to have this like never-ending conflict.
Yeah.
If I were either side of any of these conflicts, I'd be like, sorry, I'm actually out. Peace. I don't care if it's like a loss or considered a loss or whatever. I'd rather just not be involved.
Yeah.
One other thing I wanted to mention briefly, you mentioned that Josh Safdie is a executive producer on this. Ronald Bronstein is also an EP on this, and he is the editor of the Safdie brothers films, and he's also the husband of Mary Bronstein, who is the director of If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. So that's why there's a lot of, Marty Supreme and Uncut Gems vibes in If I Had Legs, I'd Kick You. And I wonder if Ronald Bronstein edited this series as well, because that would explain some of the frenetic, kinetic energy.
It's a very bad score on Rotten Tomatoes, too, 58%.
Well, I do think that if the Safdie brothers are known for anything, it's making like uncomfortable stuff. So I can imagine it being a little bit divisive, especially. This is like in a weird, it doesn't really sit nicely in any existing category for television. Yeah.
It feels very voyeuristic. And I do like that aspect of it because, I'm a nosy neighbor. I'm a nosy neighbor. The people who live in New London, we have a small group chat called Neighborhood Watch. because whenever I'm over at Anna and Hannah's house, I'm always like looking out the window because there's always some nonsense going on. And you know from this podcast that there's always nonsense going on my street too.
Yeah.
Constant interruptions. It's about to be that season too when I have the windows open and crazy people are walking around outside. Good times.
Neighbors, the group chat. And the other thing is, when I first saw this television series announced, I was very confused because it made me think of the movie series Neighbors, which was, of course, Rose Byrne and Seth Rogen. So I was like, oh, okay, it's like a spinoff or like a remake of that concept.
Yeah.
But no, it's very different.
It's nothing of the sort.
Very different.
I did mention Neighbors and Neighbors 2 last week on the pod.
Yeah.
And our good friend did download those films so that I could watch them. And I was watching it this morning.
Pretty good.
Very funny.
Nice.
So dumb. Big, broad
check it out.
comedies. Love it.
Well, Geoff, it's been a great episode. And
Loved it.
Before we get too late in the day, let's get outside. Let's touch some grass. Let's get out into this beautiful weather.
Just make sure it's on your property line, Justin. You don't want to piss off your neighbors. That would be tough.
Oh, man.
You're going to end up on the series.
Who's getting mad about that? Like, oh, no, you cut my grass. I just don't understand.
Literally... Oh, wait, you've seen that episode then.
I've seen a part of that episode, yes.
That was so wild. I mean, the story is insane. The feud started because the neighbor was doing his neighbor a favor by cutting his grass, and this is how the feud began.
I'm truly like, everybody's got to relax, you know? Speaking of touch grass, people really got to touch grass.
For real.
If we're leaving the listeners with any message, it's that. Touch grass, listeners.
Get outside today, listeners, dear. Enjoy all the splendors Mother Nature has to offer.
Bye.
Bye. This has been BANTS with Geoff and Justin. BANTS is created and produced by me, Geoff Taylor, and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by me, editing and social media by Justin. The theme music for BANTS is The Track Nebraska With You by Sam Day and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. And if you like the podcast, please don't forget to rate and review us on Apple, Spotify, or YouTube. And tell your friends. Bye.
Bye.
Bubba. Drogo is sitting in the chair next to me, fast asleep, and he is just farting away. It smells so bad, but I can't even be mad at him because he's just a little baby. Did you say goals?
Yeah, goals. Napping, farting away. What else do you want with life, you know?
I guess not much more.